walk. We couldn't come by car. Like we came so luxuriously today, right up to the doorstep of the temple. But our Gurudev in his early world tours, he used to often comment like, oh, I'm just a village boy, you know, like I came from a very small village and the cars could not even go there, you know, like he would say like that. He had there was this one occasion, for those who didn't meet our Gurudev, you know, he always preached these principles of humility, tolerance, and respect. Right? This is from a verse of Lord Chaitanya. Chinada Chena, Trori Vasadina, Amanina, Mamadena, Kirtani, Sadavani. One who is more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, and who can give all honor to others without expecting it for themselves. They are qualified to always chant the holy name. Because the holy name is not just an ordinary sound vibration, it is a spiritual vibration. And so we have to have like a fertile soil in our heart. Our Gurudev would say like that, make your heart fertile so that divine seed can manifest, so that divine vibration may be attracted to descend. So our Gurudev, he always emphasized these teachings of humility, tolerance, and respect, but he also embodied them, he personified them, as well as being extremely affectionate, extremely loving. You'll see our Gurudev's temple in Navadvip, the name that was chosen, the temple of love and affection, because that's what he was. If you only had to choose one word to describe Śrīla Govinda, it would be that, love and affection. And when he started traveling around the world, you know, he was teaching these were his main points of emphasis, and he also was embodying that. But there was this one occasion, it was in Switzerland, and I wasn't there, I was too young at that time, but I heard about it from Bhakti Lalita was there, and it was some Indian, like respectable Indian gentleman. He had some type of center, like Vedic center, and he invited our Gurudev to come as a guest of honor to speak. But he was something of a proud man. You know, he had many PhDs from different universities around the world, and he was an Indian gentleman, and so he invited our Gurudev like as the guest of honor, and they had this big gathering. And this man, he was like coming to introduce our Gurudev, but he ended up speaking about himself for a long time, and talking about all his accomplishments, and he's been here, and has this degree, and that degree, and so on. And then finally he gave the mic to our Gurudev, and everyone sitting there, you know, we want to hear from Śrīla Govinda Mahārāj, right? And then our Gurudev, he started out in completely the opposite style, saying, oh, I'm just a village boy. I'm from a very small village in Bengal. No one's heard of my village. Even the cars, they cannot go there. And I didn't have a proper education. I was a very naughty boy. Actually, the teachers were so strict. Sometimes our Gurudev would skip school. And he'd like climb up a tree and sit in the tree the whole day, you know, and then go home. So you say, I was a naughty boy, and like that. And then after that, then he said, but by my good fortune, I could meet a great master, right? His guru, Śrīla Mahārāj. I could meet a great master. And I got to spend some time with him. And by his grace, I learned something. And these are some of the things that I learned from him. And then he started speaking so beautifully. And he was quoting many Sanskrit verses, like many like long, difficult Sanskrit verses. And then this Indian gentleman beside him, he could understand that our Gurudev was actually so qualified, but he was presenting himself in such a humble way, and he felt so embarrassed. And we heard from Bhakti Lalita when devotee was there. She said that you could visibly see that man like shrinking. Like as our Gurudev's talk was so beautiful and so eloquent and so such a high level talk. And that man, he's sitting there like you said you could visibly see, also Sita also told me, she was there, they could visibly see him like shrinking like this, like he was so embarrassed and realizing like what he had he was so proud of. It was like nothing compared to what our Gurudev had, and he was so qualified, he was so humble, he was so humble. That was his mood. There was this one, our Gurudev had this capacity for memorizing so many words, like he must have known thousands of verses and songs. There was this one time in London, he was sitting with the devotees like casually, and he had this presence, like you would be fulfilled just sitting with him, like in silence. There was like this intuitive communication that was going on with everyone. It was very profound. It's very difficult to explain if you haven't experienced it. This is the vibration coming from him. But this one time he was sitting and he spontaneously started singing some beautiful songs and quoting verses and he was mentioning, oh, I learned this one verse, and then one devotee, Shuddha Prabhu, a very dear friend, he made a comment like what didn't you memorize? Like you memorized so much. And our Gurudev, this is so like this is classic Srila Govinda. She responded, I think it is because I drank a lot of milk when I was young. I drank a lot of milk, so it was good for the brain. They say that in Ayurveda, milk is good for the brain. So then I could remember something. That was his mood, and very, very unassuming, very natural. And so this is the place of his divine pastimes, and just down the road it's like a 5-10 minute walk. We'll go there. That's where he was born. Very small, like simple place. And he had many childhood pastimes here. He mentioned how he had a very happy childhood playing with all the children. And I remember he mentioned, one thing he mentioned was that the Muslims and the Hindus had a very peaceful coexistence. That they would play together, and it was very, very harmonious, very peaceful, very sweet. And he went to school. His school is nearby, actually. I think it's still standing. And his father was a guru. He was a kind of a renowned kirtan leader within the region. And that was actually how they made their livelihood. His father would travel and he would lead kirtan programs, and they would receive donations, and that's how they would live. And it is like a little bit from what we are following, it is a little bit of a different culture. And there are some songs that they sing which are very, what we consider very elevated, talking about the divine play of Radha and Krishna. And our Gurudev, he was never like trained in how to sing or how to also playing the drum, the mridanga. But he like just by observing, he like absorbed it. And he mentioned, and like some of the talks would go quite high, and I think he wasn't like allowed to join, but he mentioned he would hide in a barrel like nearby. You heard about that? He would hide in an empty barrel, like listening to all the kirtan and the talk going, the grown-up talk going on. And so he very naturally like absorbed a lot. And actually his father, Nitai Pada, he passed away when our Gurudev was maybe like 15 or something. And our Gurudev was the eldest son. And so the responsibility came on his shoulders to take care of his family. And there was this one moment we heard where like some of his relatives, they were crying. They were sad, of course, that their beloved relative had left, but they were also worried about the financial aspect of things. And they're like, how are we gonna? I remember he said he had this big uncle. He was he was like a martial artist and like big guy, and he was crying. And our Gurudev would say, oh, what's the matter? And he was saying, oh, we're worried. How are we gonna maintain everyone? And our Gurudev said, oh, don't worry. I can do the singing. Because he just like had naturally absorbed just by hearing. And so the relatives came around like, you can sing like that? And Gurudev said, yes. And then he did a demonstration and they were all completely astonished. And so he did that for some time, and then he ended up going to Mahārāj mentioned this other village of Nadangat. It would be nice to go, maybe another time we can go. And that's, our Gurudev ended up going there as the apprentice of a doctor. And so he was working there and sending money to his family. He had like two younger brothers. And this is Damodar Prabhu. He's our Gurudev's nephew. He came here especially to cook for us. It's a major honor. Yeah. Yeah. It's a huge honor. Yeah. And so he was and then it was in Nadangat, this nearby village, that our Gurudev came in connection with the brahmacharis, the monks from our temple, from Śrīla Maharaj's temple, because he would send out these brahmacharis every now and again for preaching programs. And so they set up for a few days in this Nadangat, and it was there. And our Gurudev's like 17 years old, and he was really attracted to them. And he was a very expert mridanga player. And so it was there that he came in connection with Śrīla Maharaj's mission, and then ended up going straight to our temple at 17. But also quickly we can just mention the story of our Gurudev's birth. It's a very interesting story, because as we mentioned before, our Gurudev's parents, Nitai Pada and Tarangini, there's a temple dedicated to our Gurudev's mother, you'll see, Tarangini Devi, it's right by his birthplace. They'd had several children who passed away, maybe almost immediately upon birth, and so they were very sad, and they made this special prayer to Lord Shiva. And they prayed, please give your own son, because we know if we have your son, you will protect him. So you please give your own son to us. And so shortly after, Tarangini Devi became pregnant, she gave birth, and our Gurudev's father went running to that temple where we just went, the Shiva temple, Jamalpur, and to tell him, oh, your son has been born. And our Gurudev's father, at that time, he felt this inspiration. He heard this voice coming from the deity saying, yes, he is my son, and I will protect him. And they have this tradition, you'll see on some of the children, they put this kajal, this eyeliner, and they say it's to protect the children from ghosts and evil spirits. And so he heard this from Lord Shiva, you don't have to put that kajal on him, I'm protecting him. And so Nitai Pada ran back and he saw that the ladies of the village were applying it, and he told them, no, you don't have to do that. Shiva's protecting him, so they didn't do that. And there's another story. There were tigers around, and one day our Gurudev's mother was carrying him. Maybe she was even carrying him to the temple. Maybe he's 6 months old or something, and she's carrying him. And there was a tiger that came across. They were going through some like foresty area, and there was a tiger that came across the path. And she was very bold and very confident. She put the baby on the ground in front of the tiger, and she dared the tiger. She said, this is the child of Lord Shiva. And this is the child of Lord Shiva. You cannot touch him. And the tiger went on his way. So, yeah, very strong woman, very faithful, very bold. So I think we're going to have arati and we're going to have prasadam, and then we can go and visit the actual place of our Gurudev's birth, just down the road. Jai Shri Bhakti Sindar Govinda. And we can also mention this whole area, it's known as Gauda Mandal. It means the area of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, his Leela. So it's all like considered sacred area. It's the place where Lord Chaitanya would roam. His birthplace is in Navadvip. It's all in the same area. And so it's very interesting, like seeing like where Srila Govinda Maharaj appeared, where Śrīla Sridharaj appeared, it's all within the same area of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. And then, as I mentioned before, then this Jamalpur is like right in the middle. It's very interesting to see. And these deities, as I was mentioned, are the Radha Krishna deities. They're quite ancient. They're said to have come from Veera Chandra Prabhu, who is the son of Nityananda. And then the Mahaprabhu deity, our Gurudev, he brought. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai.